Welcome back, viewer, listener. Welcome to Break. Let's just get into it because we just continue rolling forward. We do have to unwind this stack. If you didn't listen to the episode, you should go listen to that. This is an after show. You're supposed to listen to it after. But if you haven't, we had a nice conversation about a bit of Matt and Kris just talk about the world, and we built up quite a stack of things. And I think we stopped unwinding at the point where we were talking about companies, and then we were going to unwind into talking about streaming. And then we just didn't do that.
Yeah,
but I think that might be the bottom of the stack, but it might not be, and we might have to just
we might have to pivot.
Panic.
We might have to panic. Let me try to recover first. Let's see. Streaming was one. So one thing I do want to say that I didn't get a chance to say in the last episode about the Go thing, because you mentioned something along the lines of communities and tech. We spend so much time in a corner of the internet or arguing about things and not actually doing things. And it sparked in me what I've been lamenting about with Go for the past couple months or whatever, why my feelings for Go haven't been the most fond. And it's that there was so much energy expended on the errors proposal and related things that just didn't matter, that I feel that hurt Go. That hurt Go's development. And that made me sad. So you're totally right. And we don't need to belabor that point because we've talked about it, but that definitely sparked that in me. So
yeah. I definitely feel there's always I'm still trying to figure out why I dislike modules so much, but I think because it did take up so much air in the room at a crucial point when we needed to not the problem. When I really think about who had a problem where modules was the solution, it was a corner of the people, right? It was the people that really wanted reproducible builds, and where they could not achieve that by having with GoPath, right? They couldn't achieve that in a way that would make sense with GoPath. And instead of giving a simple solution to that, maybe in the Go tool, and then having Ego, Enterprise Go, that was the module system, we just piled everything into modules and we're this is the one true way. And I think once again, that's a physics in reality, ignorant way of doing things. You should not have one true way of doing things for everybody, because the same problem needs to be solved in different ways for different people. GoPath was really such a beautiful way. I mean, Mitchell Hashimoto still organizes his code as if he's doing GoPath, just because it was such a simple way of organizing things. And it was one of those things about Go where you never had to think about where a package was going to go, because it just goes there. It just goes in that GoPath spot. And that worked so well for so many people. And what we really needed was a slightly different or slightly more robust resolving infrastructure for when you're actually building something, or a way to be the thing in your GoPath isn't the right version. So you can either change that, or we can, go download this dependency somewhere else and then use that for this build or something like that. I wish we had built a flexible framework instead of just building yet another dependency management tool, because I think that was a space where the industry needed to get better. And I think it would have made Go more attractive. I feel Go right now is in this weird spot where it's still used a lot, but it's not very attractive to most people, especially in the job market. Go jobs are in this real weird space at the moment. And I think that's because Go, there was so much time spent trying to make it an enterprisey thing. And I think that it kind of failed in that. I don't think I think enterprises are just well, why don't we just do this in Rust, or go back to Java, or go back to something else, or Python, right? We're doing all this data stuff anyway. Let's just build our stack in Python, right? I think Go failed to make that transition because it was so focused on solving this one singular problem. When it could have been focused on solving a whole bunch of different other types of problems. So
this is where I think, unwinding another part of the stack of DHH, this is where I think DHH is kind of spot on in some of his blog posts. You do kind of need one of those assholes in charge, or the bastard operator from hell, or whatever they call it, or benevolent dictator for life is the one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get confused.
Bastard operator from hell.
Sorry, I don't know. I always confuse those acronyms in my head, so my bad. But yeah, you do need something like that. You need someone that's going to say, listen, this is the decision. This is the goals of this project. Because sometimes having a committee or community or some sort of like, consensus style protocol of making decisions does take too much time, and it has just a bunch of overhead associated with it. So I get it. I really do get it. Like, for example, when it comes to like this podcast, if something needs to happen, I could be like, Kris, yay or nay, and you could just give me the yay or nay rather than having to super belabor the point with everybody. And I don't know, sometimes that's nice. And I think many projects kind of,
it kind of feels like this is an instance where that backfired though, right? Because it's like, we did have a BDFL that was like, no, this is what we're going to do. And it turned out that the sacrifices we made to do that thing are kind of what has made the language worse. I was like, if I look back on it and we really look at everything, was DEP so insufficient that it would not have been a reasonable thing for us to go forward with? And like, there are a lot of things that like we got from modules that I think have been useful, but I think we probably could maybe it's the case that we couldn't have done those things, like the whole having the Go version in the mod file so that you can basically decide what compiler you're going to use or what functionality you're going to have. But that could have also just been another file that's in your package or whatever, or should be part of your build infrastructure, not something that's necessarily part of your source code infrastructure. Yeah. Which I think maybe that's the sticking point for me here, is that I think if we talked about it as a community more, maybe we would have reached the point of understanding that the problem we had was a build infrastructure problem. It was not a source code problem. And we conflated those two things, right? Because it's like, I want my build tool to reproducibly build things. And like, you could use many different build tools. You can use Bazel to do that. You can use a Go tool to do that. You can use a make script to do that. You could build a custom system that like operates on Git hashes to do that. There are many different ways that you could do this. And we could have standardized on packaging as well. Like the whole module mirror, the module proxy, I would have rather just had a module database that you could access to be like, here's the version, here's the hash, here's the whatever, go find wherever it is and you can confirm it and check it and all of that, right? I feel like we needed a bunch of smaller solutions and we got one big solution. And I think that's because the person in charge wanted one big solution or thought that one big solution was the solution.
This is where it backfired in this case.
Yeah, which is like, I think the community was just like, nah, we don't want one big solution. We want smaller solutions. We like the uniqueness and robustness of this community. And that is not embodied in the modules, I don't think.
Well, I meant benevolent dictator. We didn't have the benevolent. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
But I think that's one of the places where, like, when we look at it, I think people like to say, like, people have this idea, like, I think I've said it before, where people compare the best dictatorships to the worst democracies, or in this case, worst committee structures, right? So people are like, oh, well, about all this committee stuff, it's like, it doesn't work. I'm like, you're looking at committees when they operate in their worst, when they're run by people that don't know what they're doing. But if you have people that are running them that know what they're doing, committees are extremely efficient in what they can do if you know how to run them and structure them properly. Because you can get a lot of good input, you can still make decisions. Like, committees don't have to be about like, we're just never going to make a decision. You can still have deadlines. You can say, we need to make a decision by this date, and if we'll do it with the best knowledge we have, and then we're going to move forward. But people kind of always want to look at the BDFLs in their most positive light. But like, a lot of the BDFLs have been freaking terrible, or it hasn't worked, or it hasn't made sense to work, or even the BDFLs in a person or like is an organization, like in the case of Joint and Node.js, like sometimes like the BDFL has a mismatch with what the community wants, and then you need to figure out how to resolve that. And in the Node.js and Joint case, that was giving up Node.js, whereas in the Go case, it was steamrolling the community. Right. So it's like, yeah, it can be good, but it can also be bad. And I think that that's something we need to recognize as industry, because we're very communal, and we should embrace community and stop trying to have. We should embrace democracy instead of trying to embrace dictatorships.
Speaking of democracy and dictatorships, streaming.
Oh yes,
that's one thing I definitely want to revisit. A part of the stack we didn't unwind in the episode.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where do I start with this? So, as I said, I switched from iPhone back to Pixel. We're back to Android via the Pixel. and I have the 12 months of Gemini or whatever, right? So I have the
Right.
Google's AI Pro plan, free for 12 months or whatever. Cool. That's fine. But now I was like, oh, like, let me see what other subscriptions Google has. Cause I used to have YouTube TV, and I had YouTube TV back when it was like $34.99 a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty good. Like, that's not bad. $34.99 a month. And I get like, what? I don't know. At the time it was like maybe 50 channels or something. I don't know. I don't remember how many channels they had. Maybe 30 channels. I don't remember. And I was like, this is cool. Then it went up to like $44.99 and then $59 and then whatever. Now it's like $84 for the base plan, for $82.99 or $84.99 for the base plan. And I was like, just to see, for shits and giggles, because they have add-ons that you can select, like HBO and Star and, you know, Latino channels and like sports channels and whatever. And I was like, just to see, what if I selected everything? And granted, I know like there are some add-ons that like they overlap, you know, like there's the HBO add-on, but then there's like the entertainment add-on that has HBO, Paramount, and Stars or something like that, whatever. So there's overlap. So I know that's not a perfect number, but I selected everything.
Oh God.
And, you know, one of the NFL tickets, not the, you know, one of the NFL ones, because there's like NFL ticket, Red Zone or whatever, and they all overlap. So I selected one of those and then like everything else. $500 and change a month to select all that stuff.
What?
Yeah. If you go to YouTube TV and you go to like the sign up page and you click all your add-ons that you want and you look at the price, it's like $500 and change a month for that. And I was just like, I miss cable. I was like, I miss cable because I never had to pay that much money with cable. Insane. And I got all the channels that I wanted, whatever. And I was just like, where did we go wrong? Like, how did we stray so far from this stuff? And I was just appalled, essentially.
And I think that's like one of the really good examples of like where companies are followers instead of being leaders, because like so many of them, like, you know, the common narrative, which I think is a pretty accurate narrative, is that they all looked at YouTube and Netflix and were like, wow, look at all of this money they're bringing in. And they're like, we could do that. We have a library of content. We can absolutely do this. And then they all didn't realize that, like, well, they have a fundamentally different way of operating compared to certainly YouTube, but also Netflix, where it's like, no, Netflix just picked the best stuff and then put that all on their platform. So you paid $10 and you got all the best stuff. And like, you can't do that when you're one of the content creators, because you only have so much stuff that qualifies for the best stuff, but you will not have all of it. Although there is a lot of like cross sharing now, where it's shows that are on multiple streaming services at the same time. So there's some of that. But it's just like that content model is like, it's fundamentally different. Like their perspective, their context was so much different from YouTube and Netflix, yet they looked at YouTube and Netflix like, well, we can do that. And they also looked at the sentiment around cable and were like, once again, they were like, oh my God, everybody's cutting the cord. Not everybody was cutting the cord. There was still a massive number of people that had cable. Like truly massive. And people were starting to cut the cord. But now you've built something with streaming that does not bring in nearly as much money as cable did. Or does, really. And so now you're just in this position where you're just like losing money hand over fist because you were jealous of somebody else's context. And it's like you just and they all followed each other right off the cliff. And so now they're doing all these mergers and things because it's just like because they're all finding out, oh no, we actually needed all of that cable infrastructure, all the network infrastructure to be solvent. So now they're like, well, we can't actually make money. Also because like the cost of making television shows has increased over time because everybody wants like the bigger and flashier TV shows.
Yep.
And things cost more now. So it's just like, oh, at the time when you actually needed to be figuring out how to make more money, you weaseled your way into a situation where you make substantially less.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's ridiculous.
Like any corporate planning could have seen that and been like, oh, that's not good. And also like, at the end of the day, I don't even think Netflix is really what people wanted. Like, I think more of like the YouTube model is what people wanted, where people just wanted to be able to select the shows that they wanted to watch when they wanted to watch them and just have ads injected into them. Like that would have been a perfectly fine model. And we could have done that too with the pay-per-view infrastructure that already existed with cable. And they could have competed on like their own technology platform. But instead they were like, oh, we'll go to the web. Because like, if you think about it, right, a lot of the problems that they run into, especially around like right now, account sharing, it's really, really, really difficult to not have people share accounts, especially as Apple does more things with like their own private relay, where you're like, yeah, they could be in the same household, but their IP address is coming from somewhere else. So it's difficult to determine where people are via the internet. But you know where it's real easy to determine where someone's from? Via cable. Because you own all of the cable infrastructure. You know exactly where that set-top box is, how it's getting back to the head end. You know all of this, right? So it's like, oh, you can very easily track where it is. And you can make sure there's no account sharing or anything of the sort. It's just not a thing you could possibly do with a cable infrastructure. So it's like, oh, you had a technology that could have actually been good here, and you gave up on it because you had this perception that everybody hated it. Meanwhile, like everybody... I think if people had known the absolute hell that is streaming services, we would have never wanted to abandon cable as much as we did.
So I was clicking. All right. First of all, this is the shit that pisses me off. This is where like I hate technology. So I went to TV. I went to tv.youtube.com/onboard or whatever the URL is. I selected my $82.99 a month base plan. You want 4K? $4.99 a month extra. Then I selected everything else except for things that were reasonably overlapped. Like HBO or whatever. I just selected one of those. I did not select the NFL anything, so I'm not paying for NFL at all. And I did not select like the Filipino station or the Indian station. Like I'm not watching those, so I didn't like select those. I'm at $336 a month for all of this.
Jeez.
That's crazy. And granted, I know I'm not going to watch half of this stuff. I know, I don't know, like I haven't even heard of half of these networks like Deco and VIX Premium. I don't know what these are.
Right.
Or Poker Go. I'm not going to watch Poker Go. I guess it's about poker, whatever. So I know I'm not going to select all of these things, and that can get the price down. But like if you wanted a complete package of everything in one, that's an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, what have we done? And then it's the same thing for your cell phone plan. Like, why are cell phone plans so expensive for the service you provide? I barely make phone calls anymore. And like data usage is nothing because I'm practically on Wi-Fi all the time, right? Like maybe I use like 2 gigs a month, if that.
Yeah.
Of actual cell data off of a Wi-Fi access point. And it's just like, what's going on? I thought technology was supposed to lower the cost of things, plus make it so that like, the volume of users are more, so the cost for everyone goes down.
Right.
That's like not what's happening here in technology, and it's kind of ridiculous now.
Yeah. No, I think we as an industry, once again, that corner effect where people like see a small corner and think that that's the whole world. Like I think that's just what our industry continually experiences, where it's just like, oh, that technology is like, once again, people declaring the death of PHP. It's like PHP is not. What I think is funny about PHP too is that PHP is one of those languages that's just like so quiet, and there's just a company, Zend, that just maintains it and has maintained it. And even though there's Facebook that is absolutely behemoth and they've used PHP very heavily, I don't know if they have any. I don't know if they contribute to the development of PHP very much, but it's just like little company. I guess then it's not really little at this point, but like a company that basically no one's heard of, that develops a language that's used literally everywhere. And it's just like, and everybody thinks it's dead and it's thriving. And it's like, yeah. No, and the same thing with like mainframes. Like when I explain to people that like, no, most of your life depends on a mainframe. Like every financial transaction you do is hitting
AWS. But AWS.
Yeah.
Like every time you use a credit card, that's hitting a mainframe. But like also part of that's because like, maybe in the future Oxide and Oxide-like systems can replace mainframes.
Right.
Because that's
the hope.
Because like, yeah, mainframes, that's another thing too. Like I always thought mainframes were kind of dead because I was like, I never understood what a mainframe was. Like the concept of it was very confusing to me because I'm just like, wait, so it's just like a big computer that you program? And it's just like, yeah, it's one big ass computer that's just like networked together. So you have like a shitload of IO and a shitload of RAM and a shitload of processors, and they're all working within the same space and they're going real freaking fast. And it's just like, oh, okay, this makes a whole lot more sense now. But also in the modern day, like we're nearing terabit Ethernet speeds, right? PCIe is, I think, already in the terabit it's near the terabyte realm, right? Like we have extremely fast networking at this point. So it's like the difference between a mainframe and like commodity hardware has like shrunk a lot. It's just like the context that we're operating in. That's kind of what Oxide is doing, I guess, right? Is they're trying to shift the context to be like, you can do a thing that's in the middle that's kind of the best of both worlds here.
Right.
And then you can like deploy it widely and have, 2,000 racks maybe in the future of this and have a whole data center that's like a whole mainframe, but for not as obnoxious as programming a mainframe is.
I'm convinced that people need to spend less time learning how to program and more time just learn how business works and user interfaces work and just customer service works. Because again, I'm here on this stupid YouTube TV checkout page where I've added all of the plans. I have the base plan. So to describe what I'm seeing here is I see a sidebar with the base plan at $82.99 and all my add-ons listed, 4K plus for $4.99 a month, Spanish plus for $14.99, and so on and so forth. I scroll to the bottom of this page. There is no total for how much I'm spending. It says subtotal calculated at checkout, and there's a checkout button. I click the checkout button. I go to a modal pops up for checkout, and it says complete your purchase. And it gives me the rundown of like base plan $82.99, 4K, $4.99 a month for this period, but then $9.99 a month after, and so on and so forth. I scroll to the bottom of that. It says total due today, $4.84. It does not tell me at all anywhere on this page what my recurring monthly cost is going to be.
God, the dark patterns.
Yes. So I copied and pasted this all into AI and I said, hey, calculate my monthly costs. And it says it's going to be $336.54. And I'm just like, how hostile is this to users?
Yeah.
This is why, like, I didn't grow up poor, but I didn't grow up rich. We grew up just middle class, right? And talking about money and salary was always like a taboo thing in earlier jobs of mine. And, my parents, they do well, they don't overly budget, but they don't waste money either, right? Like money is still respected. But like, if you're budgeting and you're buying these things, this sucks. This experience sucks.
Yeah.
I can see why people have crippling credit card debt. I can see why people overspend more than they can afford because you just truly don't know what your costs are for any of these things. You just sign up, swipe a credit card, and then you look at your bill and you're like, wait a minute, why am I spending $336 a month on YouTube TV? It's like, well, your trial period's gone and you sign up for all those add-ons, remember? And it's just like, it's so hostile to budgeting. This is okay. Yep.
Yeah. And they're everywhere. Like that's one of the reasons why I want to build our own platform, because there's definitely some dark patterns in some of the platforms we use. And I'm like, I don't like this. Like I want it to be like, I want it to be simple for people to give us feedback or to cancel their subscription or whatever. And like platforms are not built for that because every platform is just like, no, but we'll do all this retention stuff. We'll do all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, I get that works sometimes, but it's still like so obnoxious. And at the minimum, just show people a fair price. Like the nutrition label things that they did for cell phones. Oh my God, that made carrier plans so much easier to analyze because they're like, yeah, no, you have to actually write down what all the things that are part of this plan are and how much they cost. Like you're not going to weasel your way around things like that. And I'm just like, I don't think companies realize the damage they do to themselves through all these dark patterns.
And this is like a solvable problem though. Like this is one, you're not giving me a cost. So that could be easily solved. Some JavaScript can be written to show me a cost. And like, you're not protecting me against oversubscribing either. You're not saying, hey, Matt, you've actually got HBO in 2 plans here. Review your choices. Like you're overlapping. You know what I mean? They're not doing anything to prevent overlap. And it's just, what is going on? We have more people than ever entering the field of technology and programming and software and whatever. And yet software has arguably never been in a shittier spot in certain lights, like in certain avenues.
But I also think this is, I mean, I don't see how you can attribute that to anything but corporate greed, because they could actually
it's corporate greed for sure, 100%,
calculate
100%.
what you're, and they could absolutely make a thing that says, hey, you actually subscribe to this thing twice. That doesn't make sense. These are the same service.
It's in their best interest for me to oversubscribe and not know what I'm paying up front. You know, they don't want to give me sticker shock. They don't want me to know that I'm paying $336 a month for this.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with cell phone companies and all these companies. You know, the price you see is small enough that you can do it, but then the actual invoice is like, oh yeah, but taxes and fees, and we never showed you this before. Have fun. And it's frustrating for me because I make a good amount of money, but I still budget and I still like understand where our money's going. And I always ask myself the question, is the thing I'm spending money on worth the value? Like, am I getting the value out of this thing? You know, am I getting $336 a month worth of value out of YouTube TV? Definitely not. Right. So I'm not going to spend that much money on it. And same thing with my cell phone plan. Like we spend like $180 on our cell phone plan, but we have 3 lines and an iPad. And it's like, are we getting $180 of value out of our cell phone plan? Arguably no, because we're mostly on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So is there a way to reduce? And is reducing like, beneficial to us? Like, do we, is it a headache? Because sometimes it's a headache to go through the transfer process and all that. So it might not even be worth the time to do that. And it's just, I don't know. To me, I'm not trying to sound all doom and gloom. Like, I'm really not. I'm a very happy person. I just don't like this shit because it's tricky. It's manipulative. It's lying. It's like, it's just kind of ugly practice. Yeah. And I don't like seeing these things happen in the industry personally.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's like the whole, everybody wants to be a bank, but also I think it's because like they look at their costs and like our costs are so high, and like, because you have all of these people you've hired that you don't really need. Like, I think that's one of the things that Oxide is like, they're like, yeah, maybe, because I think it was the changelog episode I was listening to with Brian on it, and I think it was either Adam or Jared was basically just like, oh well, what if Oxide, when it's the size of like Dell or whatever, and Brian's kind of like, I don't know if we'll ever need. I don't know if we'll ever be that size. Like he's like, it's like I don't know if we'll ever be 500 people, right? Like the impact of what you can do and the number of employees you have they're orthogonal things. Right. Like if you can make it so all of your people are very efficient, you can actually keep the company very small.
Yep. And it's in the best interest for the customers to keep like people sometimes hear that and they're like, oh, well, you're just trying to like keep all your talent for yourself or save your costs. It's like, no, it helps the customers too. Because if Oxide replace Oxide with any company. If a company is spending so much of its capital on, people like payroll, then you can't weather a lot of bad quarters without doing a layoff or something. Right. You know what I mean? So keeping your company lean and efficient is beneficial for customers too, because it extends your runway and it makes you like viable for the long term. You'll be around. And yeah, I'm with you. I look at some of these things like DocuSign has like 2,000 plus people, and I'm like, why? What are they doing? And I understand they're in a legal area. I get it because DocuSign has to deal with every legal regulation of where the documents are the parties that are involved in signing the document. I get that, but like that's a lot of people. Like 2,000 people. Yeah. I don't think Pearson Spector Lit had 2,000 people in Suits or whatever. I think we just finished Suits the other day, so it was on my mind.
Nice.
But like, I agree with you. I don't like the trend I'm seeing with, the corporate greed, deceptive practices, over hiring. It just feels like we're straying far from what the value the business is providing. And I just want people that are listening to this to just take some time, look at your finances, and just start asking yourself the question, like, do I really get the value out of this? Have I fallen prey to this corporate greed? And am I working at a company where they're so over bloated? Maybe I should consider leaving to a more efficient company, like for longevity reasons. Or you should just always, I call it coming up for air and like reevaluating things, you know, periodically. You know, we're all swimming in the corporate world. You should come up for air every now and then and be like, what's changed? What's going on?
And if you're not subscribed to Fallthrough, that is a very valuable expense.
Yeah.
So you should subscribe. You should become a supporter. Exactly.
No, you know what? It's true though. I mean, like I agree. We don't get paid to do this, you know, in that regard. Like we're not making, you know, our salary, you know what I mean? We're not making a tech salary doing Fallthrough. You know, we're trying to provide value to our listeners we're trying to keep it lean. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We're trying to keep our operation lean too, right? We're not hiring expensive editors or a lot of assets. Like we're keeping our cost to produce this is very lean right now. And we're trying to recoup that cost and make it so that we're actually time we're spending is coming back to us. But it's hard. I get it. But yeah, you should subscribe and we'll tell you the price.
Yeah, the price is it's on the tin. It's on the tin.
Yeah. We're not going to do this YouTube TV model where it's like you owe $4 and change today, but tomorrow.
Yeah. It's funny because I've like thought about, should we do trial periods or like discounts or all of that? And I'm just like, it's right now, as of recording, it's $5 a month. Like, it's especially for technologists, like, I'm like, just try it. Just subscribe. If you don't like it, you can cancel.
Right.
But yeah, that's also why I'm just like, I can't wait to finally be able to get back into building this platform, which I think I finally unstuck myself from the things I was stuck on that were preventing me from building it. Because I really do want to build like a good user experience media. Well, I guess not a whole media platform, but a whole podcasting platform. Because even on the other side of it, like the stuff we pay for Fallthrough, I'm just like, you're not even doing the things I want. And when I want to do things, like, where's your API? Why does your documentation suck? Why is it so? Why is there no documentation on how to use your API? Well, I don't want to be clicking around on your website. I don't want to be clicking around your website to do stuff. And
that gets me. And I'm not even the one like. For context for the listeners, I don't have access to the admin portal for Fallthrough, because if we did do that, we'd have to pay more money for a different plan or whatever, right? We'd have to increase our plan. So I don't have access to the admin portal, so we can save our costs. But like, you were paying for Riverside, which all the hosts can't even do without paying for it, and the experience it's okay. But even the podcasting listening apps and just being able to manage your podcast, it's a little weird. It's funny how this industry has tools to solve problems, but they don't solve it well. You know?
Yeah.
There's so much, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's so much opportunity still in this industry that you don't have to just try to go work at a tech FANG company. You can just go solve small problems for people and you can actually make a very good living off of that.
Yeah.
And I would encourage more people to think about that when they, you know,
and it turns out solving the small problems can be very useful, right? Like I think, like, you know, if we were talking about Reddit earlier, like Reddit apps, like there was a vibrant ecosystem of really nice quality Reddit, especially like Apollo apps that people loved, and then Reddit got, you know, they're like, we need to make more money, and instead of just charging the end user, they tried to charge the developer, and it's just like that just killed all of these. Yeah, this ecosystem of apps, so that I guess you can serve ads to people now. But it's just like, man, it's like companies make that same mistake over and over and over again. And I'm like, you're fighting against the industry at that point. Like every time someone makes a crappy API or doesn't document their API properly or tries to lock it down, it's just like you're making really short-term win, long-term losses. Because it's those APIs that allow you to become a robust and interesting platform that allows people to build cool integrations and things like that. And when you lock it down, people are just kind of like, I don't want to use your thing anymore because it just doesn't work as well. Like even for our social media stuff, I've gone back to like going to every individual social media website and like scheduling posts because like trying to use one of the aggregators just like is not working the way I want it to. It doesn't use handles properly across all platforms. It's not telling me when it's going to break up posts into multiple segments and things like that. And I'm just like, this is not a viable thing for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, we use Buffer at Oxide. So like I connected my LinkedIn to our Buffer account so that our, marketing people internally can post to my LinkedIn. But they're only post the FAQ Friday videos that I do, right? Which is fine. Like, what else are they going to do? They're going to post something bad? Like, of course not. Like, there's trust here. But Buffer wants like 720p video because that's like what all the platforms, like basically it's degraded to the least common denominator, right? Where it's like, oh, all platforms support 720p video the best, or they support 720p video at least. So I'll do that. It's like, but LinkedIn supports higher res, and so does like X, and like I want my media to look good on the platforms I'm posting it, not grainy. I'm recording this thing in like 4K 60. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean it's
come on.
Now?
Yeah, like what's going on here? And it's not even a long video either. It's like a minute or two. So come on. And yeah, it's just, again, it's a tooling problem. Like,
yeah.
So many of these industries are just waiting for someone to come along and just take their lunch, because the users of them also can't wait for it. Like go talk to the users of some of these tools, right? Go talk to the users of like GitHub projects, or like the social media aggregators, or the podcast things, or delivery apps. Like, go talk to the users of this, both on the end user side and also the subscriber side, right? Depending on what the app is. And you'll see like they're not happy with a lot of these things. They just don't have anything better, right? Yeah. Like, look at meetup.com. There's just nothing better than meetup.com, and it sucks. Yeah. And it's just like, you don't have to go work at Fang to make a good living here in this field. There's are problems you can go solve.
Plenty of space to solve problems.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end.
It is.
Yeah, we don't need this to be another hour. Like,
No, we're good. Yeah, sorry. Break.
And break. So viewer, listener, thank you for joining us for this after show. As I say, let us know your thoughts. Social media, any of those platforms, we're on most of them. Just give us a little reply. And until next time, we'll keep listening, I guess. Subscribe. So that's it. Subscribe. Become a supporter. We do love making extra content for you guys, and you get high quality audio. Wow. This is a mess of an outro.
The audio quality doesn't matter when we can't say words.
Yeah, we can't say words. No. Anyway, this episode of Break featured Kris Brandow and Matthew Sanabria. Break is produced by Kris Brandow, and our beats are by Breakmaster Senator. And we're done.
We did it.